today, dealing with compound inequalities, our inequalities, we'll have two of them in each of our answers today. So for the first section, the instructions say to write a compound inequality for each graph. Now, when we're talking about a compound inequality, there's two types. We have either an OR inequality or an AND inequality. And what you need to know, if you have an OR inequality, that means you have 2 points on your number line, and with compound inequalities, you can either shade between the 2 points or on the outside of the point. So if it's OR, we shade outside of the point. So OR, you shade outside. And the last type would be an AND inequality. And if you have an AND inequality, again, we still have 2 points, but they're shaded on the inside. So if it's an OR, you shade outside. If it's an AND, you shade inside of the point. Now, there's really no mathematical way we can tell you how you know which direction to shade, but here is just a little hint. The letter, or not the letter, the word OR and the word outside both start with an O. So if it's OR, shade outside. If it's an AND, shade inside. So if you look at number 1, here are my 2 points right here. Do they shade inside the point or outside the point? Outside. So I know that my answer has to have an OR. Now, there's 2 inequalities here. One was shaded to the left, one was shaded to the right. So I need to write down both of those inequalities. So first, I just need to look at this one. When you write your inequality, put your X first. And my endpoint is on what number? 8. And then they shaded to the left, so which way should my symbol point? Yeah, it needs to be a less than. It needs to point to the left. So if they shaded to the left, your symbol needs to point to the left. Now notice my endpoint is closed. So if the endpoint is closed, what do we mean? Equal to. So there's the inequality for the left side. Now for the second inequality, again, when you write your inequality, start with a variable. So start with X. And this is the one that we're looking at now. And the endpoint is on what number? 9. 9. And they shaded to the right, so which way should my symbol point? To the right. And if my endpoint is closed, what else do I have to have? The equal to. Now, today is very important. Make sure you have the word OR. If they shaded outside of the point, you have to have this word OR. If you leave the word OR off, your answer is wrong. So make sure you have that OR right there between the 2. Next one, number 2. Looking at the 2 endpoints, do they shade inside the point or outside of the point? Inside. If they shaded inside, it's going to be an AND inequality. Now, I like the AND inequalities because they're pretty fast to write for the answer. And so to put it, you need to put X in the middle, and I call it a less than sandwich. I want you to put a less than symbol on the left side and put a less than symbol on the right side. Now you need your 2 endpoint values. Well, this value is -2. Drop it down. This value is 0. Drop it down. That's almost the answer, but now we need to look at my endpoints and see, are they open or closed? So looking at -2, is this point open or closed? It's closed. So if this one is closed at -2, the symbol by the -2 needs to be equal to. So this symbol needs to be equal to. Now looking at the endpoint at 0, this one is open, so make sure this one does not have the equal to at 0. So the only one that's equal to is -2, because that's the only one that's closed. What about number 3? Did they stay inside of the points or outside? Inside. So that means this is an and inequality. So for an and inequality, it's really easy. Put X in the middle and make it a less than sandwich. So less than on the left, less than on the right. Now, students like to ask me, well, is one of them going to be a greater than? No. These are always less than. So those are always a less than symbol. You're never going to change it. Now, for your endpoints, just drop down the number. So 5, drop it down. 7, drop it down. Now the 5 is open, so 5 is not equal to. 7 is open, so it's not equal to as well. Then looking at number 4, did they say inside the points or outside? So if it's outside, you have to have the word or. You have to have the word or. Now you have to write an inequality for the left side. So make sure when you write your inequality, you start with that variable. So you started off with X. And the endpoint is at what number? -1. And do they stay to the left or to the right? So if they stay to the left, your symbol needs to point to the left. Now is -1 open or closed? Open, so it's not going to be equal to. Now we need to write the second inequality. So put X first. And that endpoint is on what number? 0. And they shaded to the right, so my symbol needs to point to the right, so it's a greater than. Now notice the 0 is closed in. So if that point is closed in, make sure it's equal to. So only for the or, that's when you actually have to write the word or. If it's an and inequality, you don't have to write the word and. Okay, problem 5, it says solve and graph the solution using a number line. So these are pretty simple, they're just one step. So notice these are 2 separate problems. So starting with this one, don't even look over here for right now. Looking at that first inequality, how would I get X by itself? Divide both sides by 3. So that gives us X is less than or equal to 18 divided by 3 is 6. Now let me erase all those scribbles. Bring down the word and. Bring down the word and. You have to keep the words with it. And yes, the opposite of add 4. Subtract 4 to both sides, and that gives us X is greater than, what's 2 minus 4? -2. Now, they did say that we must graph it. So we need to draw our number line. And here, you have to decide how are you going to start numbering your number line. Well, what's the smallest number in our answers? -2. What's the largest one? So I need to make sure I at least have those. So I want you to go 1 below, 1 above. So 1 below -2 would be -3. 1 above 6 would be 7. So drop it down 1 and drop it up 1. Or not drop it, but increase it 1. So we need to go from -3 to 7. Now this is where we're different from yesterday because now we have how many answers? How many numeric answers do we have? 2. So we need to put a point on the -2 and put a point on the 6. Now you have to check your points and see are they open or closed. So looking at 6. So should the 6 be open or closed? If it's equal to, close it in. And should the negative 2 be open or closed? Open. Now we have to decide, where do we shade? So for an and inequality, do you shade inside the point or outside? Yeah, so anytime you see the word and, make sure you shade inside. So shade between those 2 points. If it's and, shade inside. If it's or, shade outside. Next one, number 6. Again, these are 2 separate inequalities, so we need to solve each of these. So for number 6, what would we do first? Subtract 6 to both sides. So that gives us 3x is greater than, what's 9 minus 6? 3. Divide both sides by 3, we get x is greater than 1. Drop down your word. So drop down the word and. Now solve the second one. What would be our first step for problem 2? Subtract 12 to both sides. So that gives us 6x is less than, what's 30 minus 12? 18. Divide both sides by 6, we get x is less than 3. And I'm going to box in all of this. All of this is the answer. And let me go back and box in all the answers. So you have to add the 2 answers plus the word and in the middle to get credit. So if you leave the word and off of your answer, it's wrong. So make sure and is included as part of your answer. Now draw our number line. And we have to decide what numbers do we include on the number line. So the smallest number is 1, largest is 3. So I need to drop it down 1 and increase it 1. So 1 less than 1 would start at 0, and we need to go all the way up to 4. Then we need our 2 endpoints. My endpoints go on what 2 numbers? 1 and 3, so circle on 1, circle on 3. I have to decide, are these going to be open or closed? So looking at 1, should it be open or closed? Open, because it's not equal to. And for the 3, should it be open or closed? Open. And if you see the word and, you shade inside or outside? Inside, so shade inside. Number 7, this is also an and inequality. So if you see the double less than symbol, it's going to be an and inequality. So earlier I said it's always less than, but they might be equal to. It just depends on if your endpoints are open or closed. So they're always going to have a less than, but it might have equal to. Now your goal, let's go back to the beginning. Here is an example of an and inequality right here. And notice what's by itself in the middle between the symbols. X. So our goal for solving problem number 7 is to get x by itself. Oops, that's too far. Okay, so what would be, if I'm basically solving right here. What would be the first step to get x by itself? Subtract 1. Now, whatever you do to the middle, you have to do it 3 times total. Whatever you do to the middle, you have to do to the left, and you also have to do to the right. So whatever you do in the middle, you have to do it to the left and to the right to get the right answer. You have to do it 3 times total. So what's 3 minus 1? 2. Bring down your less than or equal to. Bring down the 2x. Positive 1, negative 1 is a 0 pair, and 7 minus 1 is 6. Now again, your goal is to get x by itself in the middle. So how do I get rid of the 2 in the middle? Yeah, so whatever you do to the middle, you have to do to the left, you have to do to the right. So what's 2 divided by 2? 1. Bring down the less than or equal to, bring down your x, bring down the less than or equal to, And 6 divided by 2 is 3. And box in your answer. Now you do have to graph it. So I want you to drop it down 1. So start at 0 and go all the way up to 4. My endpoints go on what number? 1 and 3. Now you have to decide, will these be open or closed? So for the 1, look at the symbol right beside it. Should the 1 be open or closed? Closed. And looking at the 3, look at the symbol right beside it. Should the 3 be open or closed? Closed. Now I said if it looks like this with the double inequalities, that means it's an and. So for and, do you shade inside or outside? Inside. So make sure you shade inside those 2 points. Okay, I want you to do number 8. Get the x by itself in the middle and graph it. What would be the first step to get x by itself in the middle? Subtract 2. So whatever you do to the middle, you have to do to the left and to the right. So you have to do it 3 times. What's negative 4 minus 2? So negative 6 is less than or equal to 3x. Positive 2, negative 2 is my 0 here. Bring down the less than or equal to 11 minus 2 is 9. Is x by itself in the middle? How do I get rid of the 3? Divide by 3. So whatever you do to the middle, you have to do to the left, you have to do to the right. So what's negative 6 divided by 3? So negative 2 is less than or equal to x, which is less than or equal to 3. Now again, for your number line, drop it down 1 and then increase it 1. So drop it down to negative 3. You need to go up to 4. My endpoints go on what 2 value?
Negative 2.
Negative 2.
3.
And 3. Now for negative 2, look at the symbol right beside it. Should negative 2 be open or closed? Closed. And for the 3, look at the symbol directly beside it. Should the 3 be open or closed? Closed. Now what type of inequality is this?
And.
Yeah, this is an and inequality. If it's an and inequality, shade inside. Two more questions. Number 9. This one is an or inequality, and I can tell that because they have the word or. So number 9. Solve the first inequality. How do I get rid of the minus 3? Add 3 to both sides. So that gives me x is greater than 1 plus 3 is 4. Drop down the word or. And over here, the opposite of add 2, we need to subtract 2. So that gives us x is less than 1 minus 2 is negative 1. So there's my answer. Make sure you have the word or in your answer. If you don't have the word or, your answer is wrong. Now, for our number line, what number should I start the number line at? Negative 2, drop it down 1. And where should I stop it at? 5. My endpoints go on what two numbers? 4 and negative 1. Then you have to decide would those endpoints be open or closed. So for the 4, look at the symbol by the 4. It should be open or closed. Open. What about for negative 1? Open. If you see the word or, do you shade inside or do you shade outside? Outside. So this one shades to the left. This one shades to the right. Okay, I want you to do that last one, number 10. You do number 10. Now, I do want to mention that next week we will start our absolute value transformations, and the transformations we're learning on Monday will be something we'll continue throughout the semester. So if you're absent Monday, it's really going to get you behind as far as probably 3 to 4 units in this class. So all the transformations we're learning on Monday will apply to other functions we'll be learning throughout the semester. So make sure you're here Monday. It's really important. If you're not here Monday, make sure you watch the video. Number 10, solving the first one. What would be the first step? Add 3 to both sides. 7 plus 3. Divide both sides by 2. X is greater than or equal to 5. Make sure you drop down the word or. You have to have that word or in your answer to get credit. And over here, the opposite of plus 5, subtract 5, so that gives us x is less than, what's 2 minus 5? Negative 3. When I have my number line, what number should I start at? Negative 4, and where do I stop it? I would count by 2. So I'm actually going to go from negative 4 to 6. That's fine. You can go farther than what I did. So I need to make sure I have my points on what two numbers. So 5 would be right here between 4 and 6. And negative 3. Oh, I went ahead and made this close. Why is 5 close?
Because it's divided.
Because it's equal to. And over here, negative 3, I'm going to put my circle on -3, and should -3 be open or closed? Open. And if it's an or, do you shade inside or outside?
Out.
Outside. So this one shades to the left, and this one shades to the right. So on the number lines, you don't always have to count by 1. If you want to count by 2, or maybe even 5 or 10, it just depends on what your endpoints look like.